Together, can we stand a chance?
The sleeper has awakened. Because we're talking movies, we're talking Dune. Part 1. Starring Timothy Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, and Oscar Isaac, written by John Spates, Eric Roth, and Denis Villeneuve, which he also directed. What's in the box?
Dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we're awake. Everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? Tonight we're talking about the release of the 2021 film Dune. Scott, like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives, and so is spice mining. Why don't you give us your thoughts?
One, I already used that on one of our other episodes, so I don't even remember which one it fucking was.
If you can't remember it, how the fuck am I going to remember it, right?
You can't reuse the days of our lives. But first, I came prepared to this one, Chris. Good. I watched this movie, which,
oh my God,
works.
All right.
Works good.
Breaking news, folks. Scott is prepared for this show by watching the movie.
I reread the book. Wait,
you read the book?
I reread the book. I reread it, and I rewatched the Lynch adaptation. But
did you watch the 2000 miniseries?
No, that I did not. Because
by John Harrison.
It was like I still remember that sci-fi adaptation. I think it was Sci-Fi Channel that did it. But before we get into this, because I'm sure you're gonna get into this, even watching this film, I had like little time marks. I'm like, oh, Chris is gonna complain about this. Chris is gonna complain about this. But I just want to say, looking back at the Lynch film, which you can see like the set design and the choreography was really inspired by Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. I just want to say, good job on Denis Villeneuve's fulfilling his childhood dreams of making the sequel to Blade Runner and making this adaptation.
That's not bad, eh? You literally got these massive goals and you're just like, and check.
So cheers to that. Now let's get into the whole part, the world we live in now, where let's break up a book into 2 separate movies so we can have a 6-film franchise.
Sure. Before we get on the go, though, where did you watch Dune?
In the theaters.
So you did go. I just wanted to confirm that you did go into the theater.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was me. My son came. Again, he wanted to go watch it. And then there was literally a group of 60-year-old men that in a whole theater decided to sit one row in front of us.
Of course they did.
The whole thing was open.
Were they wearing cloaks and horn-rimmed glasses and being all like, "Ma, Glaben, ma"?
No. They were not.
Okay.
No, but they did have a lot of bathroom breaks. They were getting up. They were getting up a lot. I was like, maybe you guys shouldn't have gotten the larges. Look to see how long a movie is.
No, you drink the large and then you use the large as a receptacle.
I guess.
2 functions, man. 2 functions.
But I watched it in theaters, and I'm assuming you did as well, because we don't have HBO Max here.
And I mean this film, you have to watch it in the theater. This is, I would say, out of all the films that have come out this year, including James Bond, Dune was there is no question that you have to watch it in the theater. Especially just the type of filmmaking that Villeneuve does. especially the stuff he's been doing lately, like Blade Runner and stuff like that. What is it? Blade Runner. What is it? I always get the number wrong. It's like Blade Runner 2049. Yeah. So, but even Arrival and Sicario and stuff like that, they looked great on the big screen. So.
Sure, I didn't watch any of those on the big screen, so I wouldn't know.
Okay.
But yeah, like cinematography was beautiful. Like it honestly did feel like they were on location, not.
Some of it was shot on locations. Obviously, by location, it wasn't a far off planet.
Yeah,
like it was filmed in Hungary and in the Emirates and stuff like that, right? So, and then obviously there would have been some studio work as well.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the desert walks and stuff like that. I don't think they're actually went into like the Sahara Desert or whatever to.
You may want to look that up, because if they were in the Emirates, they weren't. I don't think they would have been going to a studio to shoot.
Listen, I was prepared for the concept of Dune in general, not this backstory of where they filmed. That's your job. You're the technical guy.
I am the technical guy, and I actually, so I'm going to ask our producer just while he's listening to find out, just give us a quick rundown of the locations that Dune were shot on, so that we can resolve this. Okay, so keep going.
Yeah, so I think it did, like, especially rereading the book and how like fucking dense it was. I forgot, right? Like, this book had literally like a fucking index in the back so you can cross-reference what the fuck they were talking about. And I completely forgot about it because it's been years since I read the book. That how they decided to just literally take half of the first book and there's your first movie, right?
Yep. Okay.
So like for me, I was just like, okay, let's just kind of move on, right? There's a lot of backstory, a lot of, nice cinematography by water. Or, I thought I was watching a Chloe Zhao movie where it's just like, let's slowly take it slow and just bask in this background that we have, that I thought like they could literally cut like half the movie. Like it could have been 90 minutes if it really needed to.
So yeah, the running time is 156 minutes. So what's that? Like 2 hours, 36 minutes, give or take. So do you think it should have been shorter, or were you happy with the pacing and the running time?
No, it should have been shorter to me.
So like how short? 90 minutes? Like, do you think like, are you pulling a Chris and saying like, this fucker, just dial it right into 90?
Oh, it could have been like 2 hours. Yeah. But I think in reality, and I don't know, I think it's just not, well, to criticize, everything now is, how do we extend it? How do we make it a franchise? How do we keep this going? Because, it's Dune is a known commodity.
Sure.
So they're like,
it's known to be tough to fucking film commodity is what it is.
It is. Like, this is, I give them credit for what they're trying to do with it, and because it is so dense, so much backstory, and he is working on a Dune the Sisterhood like HBO Max TV show that's apparently a prequel to all this.
That looks awesome, by the way. Like, just the write-ups I've seen on it sounds fucking super cool, because that whole order of kind of witchy women is like,
the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah, man, it's like a really cool concept to learn more about that, because like you said, it's a prequel. So keep going.
Yeah, well, yeah, I get it. Like the whole concept of this group of women for 9 generations that are literally mixing royal bloodlines to make like their Messiah. Sure, right? But it was shot in the actual desert. I was wrong.
Say that again. Sorry. We couldn't get that. So what was that?
It's okay. I'll admit I was wrong now, but we are in the run up to our Oscar predictions and stuff like that. So I'll be winning that all back. You
should have just rolled with when I gave you the option of being like, yes, it wasn't shot on location in a faraway space planet. You should have just went with that. But
anyways, like, I don't know if it was studio mandated or just the fact that maybe he was just like, this is, this is his thing. He's going to pull a Peter Jackson, and Denis Villeneuve is now going to make the definitive 3-hour every movie fucking Dune, right? Just go through the whole book series. I don't know if that's what he wants to do for the rest of his fucking life, but I think they could have just kind of cut it down and just made it an amazing fucking popcorn film that a sequel would have get made anyways.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. So the cinematography is fantastic, right? The DOP, Greg Fraser, I mean, he's got an Oscar and a BAFTA nod, so I'm stoked. He's the DOP on The Batman, the one coming out in 2022. He did work on Vice, Lion, Foxcatcher, Zero Dark 30, Rogue One. He also did some stuff on The Mandalorian. Like, he's solid. Like, cinematography, hands down, well done. But those like looking across a lake, walking over here, looking out at the desert, I would have like either removed them or just reduced them. There was a lot of stuff in here that had nothing to do with the complexity of the story and had a lot to do with like cinematography that's like wanking itself off to be like, oh man, this is such a fucking great shot. We're just going to have 5 minutes of this shot. For like, it's like not in service of the story whatso fucking ever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like if you take pretty much, and this is not a knock, but if you pretty much take, like, spoilers, Zendaya's whole contribution to this film, right? It's literally just a close up of her looking back. Yeah,
for the most part, until like right near the end.
Yeah, so for like 7 scenes or stuff where he's vision, like looking at the future, and he sees where he sees her, and it's just her constantly just looking back, like sunset behind her looking back.
So I got sent an interesting TikTok quote. I have a proper quote, but this TikTok quote actually like summed up this fucking whole movie from like random TikToker. Can't believe I just watched a mom and son mumble about space politics in the desert for 2.5 hours with random ads for Zendaya perfume thrown in. And I was like, oh my God, that's right. Because she is a perfume spokesperson. But that's what it's like. Sandstorm by Zendaya. Like, I was like, absolutely. Like, the looking back all the time, it just made me think of a fucking perfume commercial. So I was like, this TikToker fucking hit it like on the nose way better than even like the quotes from the critics I read. So my actual quote, though, is from Dana Stevens from Slate magazine. And she said, this film is a curiously paradoxical achievement, a visual and oral marvel that's also crushingly boring. And it was. I found this movie so boring. I like when the good stuff was happening, it was sort of like James Bond. When the good stuff and the flying and the lasers and the pew pew pew, that was fine. And then I was like, holy fuck, is this movie over? I actually thought this movie was over 3.5 hours long. Like, just the feeling I got sitting in that theater, I was like, man. And I was in the VIP seats with like a fishbowl worth of booze, and I was bored out of my fucking mind.
Yeah, I like some of the choices that they made. Like I was saying, I didn't get it. Like, the one thing like that brought enjoyment, like I won't lie, like it was hard to hold my interest, but the one thing that did hold my interest, doing the finger stuff.
Yeah,
like
sign language.
Well, whatever. Like,
space
during the whole
sign language.
Yeah, so after that, like me and my son just started like fucking doing the sign language during the movie, right? Just for like just to entertain ourselves, kind of thing.
I actually want to know what your son thought. You should probably just get him on the show, because he seems to have like the hot takes around film. So what did he think?
Well, I asked him after the movie. I'm like, so what was this movie about? He was like, okay, so Dad, you had this guy, and he was like, he like has superpowers, and then the one guy with the cloak, the guy that like shoots the lasers out of his fingers. I'm like, the Emperor? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, that's Star Wars. That's a whole another movie. He's like, huh? He was like, wasn't that it? They're trying to, like, the Empire was trying to take over. And he's like, and then there's worms, really big worms that,
So it's like Star Wars meets Beetlejuice.
Yeah. That was the one thing I would say I was super disappointed, because, like, in terms of the sandworm itself, like, if you watch the trailer, it is like clear as day, like in sunlight, right? And you see the sandworm for everything. And then watching the movie, it's pitch black. I could barely see it at all. I was like, well, that was a waste of a lot of effects.
Until the end.
When do you see it? You see the guy riding it. You don't actually see the worm. You see, like, the tail end of the body.
Oh, fair enough. So what you wanted to see is more worm.
Oh, you can never go wrong with worms, right?
More worm. So out of all the three, so like out of the book and the Lynch and this, like, are you happy with the translation, I guess? Because, like,
well, I'll say that yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, obviously the book is gonna be the best, right? But they because the book gives you all that backstory, like, you get a lot more of, how it being, or not how it, but the doctor, and more of the reasons why he became the traitor, right?
You mean like, yeah, even, like why he would sell out this fucking king, basically.
Right. And then same with oh my god, the Baron's like second in command kind of thing, Piter.
Isn't he the guy that was in Dark Knight? He played like one of the
the cops.
Yeah,
that was joke. Yeah, David Dimension. I think that's how you say his name, because I'm not looking at it right now. But and he was also in Suicide Squad this year, which was really good.
Who's the director of Dark Knight? See, I was trying to.
That's what I think.
You to say it because you always give me shit about talking about Christopher Nolan.
Wait, yeah, there you go. See, like,
hey, you know what? You know what else? Hold on. You know what else is interesting about Christopher Nolan is that Hans Zimmer was supposed to work on Tenet, but he chose Dune over Tenet. So Villeneuve basically stole from Nolan. So I got all those all together in the same podcast. Anyway, go back to this guy, the second in command.
Yeah, like his whole, like in the book, his whole motivations as well before he bites the dust. Obviously, like, the book is always going to be best. Like, the source material is always going to be better. But watching this adaptation and then rewatching Lynch's, I miss me some inner dialogue narration.
Is that a big part of the book?
Well, it's any book, right? You're always into each character's thoughts with every book.
It feels like the fact that there's so much of it in the David Lynch Dune that I've never read the book. So I'm just asking, is there like a greater emphasis put on it in Dune? Or is it just, like you said, like, because you're reading a novel?
Yeah, it's just like, well, it's just same thing. Like, you're reading the novel, and then, like, same interactions where, like, they had the scene, to give an example, they had the scene where, they're talking about, like, when Paul puts on that suit for the first time, right? And then Leitz is going through it, and he was like, oh, have you ever done this before? And he was like, no. He was like, you did everything right where everybody else didn't. And then he was like, oh, I just felt like what it was. And then he has that narration in his head where he's thinking, because there's the prophecy of the outsider that's going to come and free them, where he thinks like, oh, he's like saying verbiage of the prophecy, right? Where he's like, he will come and know your ways, or whatever it was. Like, in this adaptation, the Leitz character just says it out loud, kind of mumbles it, and they're like, what? He's like, nothing.
You've worn a still suit before?
No, this is my first time.
How could you be so irresponsible?
It's my first day.
In
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Lynch one, you're just hearing him stare at the guy, like, and just think about it, right? Like, here it is, kind of thing. So yeah, having that, and then in terms of the thing, one of the characters that I like who Sting played in the Lynch adaptation, Fade, he's not even in, like, he hasn't even been introduced yet in this one.
Is that
like,
because would he have been introduced already by this time? If, like you said, if the book has been divided in half, has that character been introduced?
Yeah, he would have, because the whole thing was how he was there, where they substituted him, like at the beginning, where they had Dave Bautista, who's playing the Beast there, and he was like, they're making us leave Arrakis, blah blah blah, they're making us leave Dune, kind of thing. Yes, technically it was supposed to be, in the book it was Fade who was in there, and then he was in the discussions on how they're gonna all betray the Atreides family.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So do you think that character's just gonna get scrubbed then? Like, just not gonna show up?
I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure he ends up being like Paul's main rival, right? Like, he's the one.
So that's a huge character then, to just not have them.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Like, in terms of this adaptation to the book, this is literally like a quarter of the way into the book, right? Where Paul finally gets to the Fremen and meets Zendaya, right?
How did you like the casting of Zendaya and actually Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica?
I really like Rebecca Ferguson. I really like Zendaya too, right? And I think it's more.
Will you buy your wife Sandstorm by Zendaya?
Would I what?
Will you be buying your wife Sandstorm by Zendaya for Christmas?
Of course. You need a better name though, man, because Sandstorm sounds like it'll be itchy and shit.
I mean, just because you're itchy after being with your wife, I mean, I'm not gonna talk about that.
Oh, fuck you, motherfucker. That's all I gotta say. But
Rebecca,
yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, Ferguson I like a lot. I still remember her from, I think it was her first movie, the Hercules with Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, so there's a film I think you probably should check out called Drowning Ghosts. So she's a Swedish actor, but it's a Swedish slasher film. So I mean, I know you're into slasher films. I like Swedish berries and stuff like that. I mean, so I might check it out as well. I mean, it should be interesting to see what a Swedish slasher film is.
I was gonna say, you seriously can't say 3 S's together?
Swedish slasher film. Slasher film. I don't know why I say it with an H. Anyway, and then obviously she's in both like Rogue Nation and she's in Rogue Nation and Fallout in the Mission Impossible series. So
correct. And in the new one, whenever that gets released, right?
I mean, I guess she's a reoccurring character.
Yeah, and I think and this may be just choice as well, I don't know for sure, but it just seems like with this one, like, now when you watched it, did it say Dune Part 1 on the title card? Because it did for me.
I can't remember. I was probably already mad at the fact that I had to watch yet another Timothée Chalamet, whatever the fuck his name is, movie, and I was like,
but this is again one of the movies you're like, I want to watch it so bad in theaters. Like,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You're the one that was like, I want.
And I want to go see the French Dispatch at the Princess Cinema, like in a repertory theater. Like, I'm gonna go watch it and I'm gonna be like, I fucking hate this guy. But I'll sit down and watch Wes Anderson's film, which is also filled with like 1 million people. I mean, one of the things I have to be impressed with is Baptista is turning out to be a fucking solid actor, though. Like, you normally guys like that, you're like, oh fuck, here we go. But like, he was good in this, and he was good in Blade Runner. I'm not sure what other acting credits he has, but he's done well under the direction of Villeneuve, that's for sure.
He was in Spectre, right?
Was he Inspector?
He was in one of the Bond movies. He was Mr. Hinks. He was the silent. He was like the kind of like the homage to Jaws, right? Where he was the strong, tall, silent type, and he got thrown out of the train by Daniel Craig.
Who's the Asian heavy in Goldfinger? He's got like a
top hat.
It's not top hat, but it's something like that where he throws the hat. So yeah, that same kind of like strong, silent type.
Isn't it Top Hat?
It's not Top Hat, but it's similar, like Odd Job. It's Odd Job. Actually, it is Odd Job. Yeah, I was gonna say Lockjaw. Gum job, low job.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah, and like I was saying, I think this one it's very front loaded because it's all the exposition of the film, right? So it's all front loaded, and I think it's all front loaded with the male characters, right? And I'm hoping that in the second one, because like Ferguson's character of Jessica and Zendaya's character of Shawnee, like they're big in the books and they have major roles that maybe in the second one, you know, maybe Timothy Chalamet or whatever his name is, you know, takes a backseat and they're more prominent, right? Because now if it's continuation of the second half of the book, give or take, it's more him learning the Fremen way, right?
To be a Jedi, as your son would say.
No.
He thought he was watching Star Wars.
He would be he'd be like him training to be, you know, part of the Starfleet Academy.
Wait, so is he going to Dagobah? I mean, is it going to rain and all that sand's going to turn into a swamp? And then like, because, okay, I'll fucking go watch that movie. I'm all about seeing more Yoda, not baby Yoda, like fucking original Empire Strikes Back fucking Yoda. I am down with that. Do you have any criticism other than the length of this film?
Yeah, like this isn't. I'm okay. I'll put it this way, you know, to satisfy your ego and what you wanted. You know, I'm glad I went to the theater to watch it, but if I didn't go to the theater to watch it and I watched it at home, I would have been okay with it as well, right? It wasn't like, to me, I know, like, especially this year when they announced like this movie was both theaters and HBO, like Villeneuve was one of the strong what's the word? Like, not want that to happen.
Yeah,
like
100%. He was like one of like the not adversaries, but basically one of the people who felt that was not the appropriate route to go.
Yeah. So
critics, he was a critic of that move, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you know, like obviously he was right because, well, I sent you the article where our last two films pretty much constituted almost 90% of all the box office made this year with the James Bond and this film.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, even it being on HBO Max, people still flocked to the theater to go watch it because they were of the same mind of yourself that, you know, it needed to be watched in the theater. To me, it did not. But
well, and interesting, before you move off on that, I mean, for part two, Villeneuve said that there will be a 45-day minimum window, and that was non-negotiable. And that the theatrical experience is at the very heart of the cinematic language for me. So he wrote it into the contract. You want me doing part two? If we're going to do part two, you get the 45-day exclusive window where it has to be in the theater first. No simultaneous fucking release. Done. Non-negotiable. You shall not pass! So he put his cards, his dick, and his fucking baguette on the table there. That's for sure. I guess his dick and his baguette are the same thing, right? So.
He could have said his poutine, man. His Montreal smoked meat.
Or his smoked meat. Yeah, that's right.
There you go. Right. But
go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say that, like,
you haven't talked a lot, and that's very.
It's your film, man.
And this is your fucking movie. Fuck you.
Dude, you did like more background. You did so much homework. I just wanted to like give you the opportunity to do your thing. I basically said what I want to say. I'm like, it looked really pretty and it was boring. So sort of like, you know, a gold digger, real pretty and kind of boring.
Do you want to do the Chris Heritage minute? Like there is some Canadian stuff here.
Well, I mean, Villeneuve is from Quebec, so he's very, very. I mean, I don't know. Do people in Quebec still consider themselves Canadian? I think it depends on who you talk to.
Obviously. Why are you starting that shit? Any of our
Quebecois listeners, there is definitely some separatists in there that are like, this Chris, he's right. He knows Quebec. We're not always so Canadian. So
why do you have an Italian accent?
That was like my French Canadian accent. It's my reggae leprechaun. It's the accent I use for everything. Everybody's a reggae leprechaun. So that's the big Canadian content that I'm aware of. I know that when I did a little bit of research into Timothy's background, his like maternal grandmother before moving to France was originally Canadian or something like that too. But I mean, whatever. What were you gonna go with?
I have no idea. You're the one.
Oh, I thought you had like some
It's literally called the Chris Heritage Minute. Like you have one fucking job every episode.
Well,
you started.
Denis Villeneuve is Canadian for as far as that bar for the Chris Heritage moment.
I was gonna say since day one, this was your like fuck. And let's talk about you're like, we need to get our CanCon
baby. We got to make sure that we meet our CanCon rules up here. As you said though, like, you know, just talking about numbers, like it did so far, it's done 354 million in the box office. I don't know what VOD returns are on a $165 million budget, which is good, which is like almost half of what fucking James Bond cost. Then we figured James Bond's like a $300 million film or something. So, I mean, Villeneuve definitely made the money work for him. Like, if you were to put James Bond against this aesthetically, I would almost say that like Villeneuve's looks bigger. You know what I mean? Like it looks more cinematic. So I don't know if that's just because of the extra locations that James Bond was shot in, but they were fucking burning through cash like a motherfucker on that film. So,
well, yes, but who knows? I'm not the accountant. So in reality, so October, 2 years from now, October 2023. Are you first in line for part 2? That trailer comes out. Are you gonna be like, fuck? It looks good.
I'll go see it. 100% I'll see it, but I won't be first in line. I'll be like when it's about to finish its theatrical run or something like that. Then I'll go check it out, or I'll go see it on
a Sunday matinee.
Yeah. I mean, unless we're in like the epsilon wave of fucking COVID then. So who knows? We'll be wearing maybe spacesuits, or we'll have 3 arms from vaccines. That's a joke. Like
you're like, we need to hit that market.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you hate vaccines? Well, you'll love our podcast. Tune in to find out. But to find out, you've got to listen to all our episodes. So hit that download button.
We just found our little what is it? Like our little commercial there.
Yeah.
You just got it.
Is it true? I heard that listening to the How Do You Like That Movie podcast actually protects you from COVID and from COVID vaccines. So that's what I heard. That's what people are saying. I heard it somewhere. I think I heard it on a podcast that that'll protect you from vaccines and from COVID. So there you go.
My fucking God.
Anyway, I would suggest that if you want to watch this, and I made the same suggestion to our producer, I still think you should watch it in the theater. It's going to be boring. I mean, take your popcorn, do your thing, go and get a drink or whatever. But do watch it in the theater. I think you do yourself a disservice not seeing the cinematic experience that it is. What about you? Do you recommend it? What audience do you recommend this for?
Like this one, like to be honest, it's going to be my first one of this season that I'm just going to pass on this movie. This movie did nothing.
Like, so people are saying, Scott, direct me. Tell me what to do. And you're saying, do not watch this film. Like, is that a hard
like,
don't watch it or what?
Yeah, I'll be like this. You know, if you want to watch this film, here I'm gonna set the mood. Number one, you're gonna call your significant other over. Number two, you're gonna watch it at home. Number three, you're gonna turn off the lights. Number four, you both are gonna have a nice good nap, and it's over.
That
you wake up at the end.
That was a lot of rules, man. That was a lot of rules. I kind of lost you after two. Something about watching it home while napping or something.
Yeah, watch it at home, right? Like as a dad, father of three, you know, full-time job and stuff. This would be the perfect movie that I would call it. It's my wife's film, but it's Ocean's 12, the sequel, where we got to watch it.
Ocean 12, the sequel. Isn't Ocean's 12 a sequel? Like,
yeah,
that's
Ocean's
redundant,
12
isn't it?
is the sequel. And I remember we went
it's like WW2 World War II, WW2 the Second World War, or whatever it is that people do there.
Bombs away. But yeah, it's like when we went to go watch that movie in theaters, literally she passed out like 10 minutes in and slept through the whole fucking movie and then woke up right at the end. She was just like, I was exhausted, and this movie just did it. To me, it's that Lone Ranger movie with Armie Hammer and Johnny Depp. No matter when I watch it, I get to the part where the kid's feeding Johnny Depp, like the old Johnny Depp, the peanuts, and then I fall asleep. It could be no matter what time of day it is. That movie just puts me to sleep. And I think this movie is going to put a lot of people to sleep.
Do you still watch the Lynch one?
Not since I watched it for this, just to compare and contrast. But even that's been like 15 years since I've watched it.
Okay, boom. We're going to role play here. Gun to your head. You got to watch a Dune. Which Dune do you watch? This is not a metaphorical gun. This is a real gun. It's at your head. You got to watch a Dune movie. Go.
I'm gonna go with I'll go with Lynch, because there's so many better lines, like in terms of the dialogue, like fucking Sting, like all I see is an Atreides I want to kill.
and there's just like crazy shit happening, like, you know what I mean? Like Villeneuve's like looks beautiful, but David Lynch is like fucking bizarre, right? It's like being at
if you look at, you know, how they did the shields, right? Like this one looks like, you know, it's just like a little force field around people. It changes color. If you look at the Lynch one, like it looks like, you know, you're fighting fucking, oh my God, what's that character when we were kids? The green guy. Gumby?
Huh?
Gumby? It looks like they're in Gumby, right? And that's their shield. Except green and they're brown.
It's like futuristic sumo suit. The Gumby version.
I'm good. I'm done. I would pass on this. Right? This is not for me.
This is not for you. Well, that's unfortunate. You know, you seem to put a lot of effort in. You did a bunch of homework, and you didn't enjoy the film. So that's all for me.
You did no effort, and you didn't enjoy the film. So.
That's right. I mean, we're meeting in the middle, my friend. We're meeting in the middle. Well, that's all for me. Unless you got anything else, Scott.
And that is our rant for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. If you're looking to get a hold of us, please go to our website at howdyoulikethatmovie.com. All our social media links are there, and you can email us as well. If you're going to do it, and you're going to do it right, it needs to be like...
Netflix series.
It has to be a series. Yeah, exactly, right? Where you can, you know, drag this out for 10 episodes, right? Every book is 10 hours, right? And you can get enough of the backstory, enough of the dialogue and stuff like that.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.